Beloved Father, I come to you unadorned, bearing the truth that pierces me like a blade. The house has lost its joyful tone. Conversation has become rarefied, affection has grown timid, and the bed has become a field where distance grows silent. I bring you the weight of days when hope seemed to remain outside, as if I could no longer find the key to the door. I do not shy away from acknowledging the damage. Harsh words that wound without return, small gestures that were missing when they meant everything, shortcuts taken out of fear, stubbornness that mistook firmness for pride. You know the early mornings when the pillow held tears unwitnessed, the body stretched out beside the one I love, yet as distant as a continent. Here I am, with my memory weary of repeating scenes, my mind collecting arguments, my heart trying to build walls to keep from hurting anymore. I cannot heal myself. That is why I throw myself into your lap and call your presence into this story, because if you are not the center, everything disperses and returns to dust. Covenant God, I give you what remains of the dream I once carried with my hands full. Back then, the table was an inauguration. Today, so often, it's a trench. Break the routine that taught me to speak without listening, to hear without welcoming, to welcome without giving myself completely. I confess to you my mistake of transforming the other into a mirror for my desires and frustrations, seeking in the beloved face what only your grace can satisfy. I recognize the rigidity I impose when I feel hurt, the tone of voice that becomes a blade, the coldness I use as a shield, the irony that serves to keep me from admitting I'm afraid. Take me like clay that has lost its shape and mold me anew, with the patience of one who knows every crack. What was a shard you join, what was crooked you straighten, what rotted from lack of light you open windows and let your sun shine in. Lord, I do not ask for a romantic return to an idealized past, but the revelation of your design in the concrete present. Remind me that the covenant was not made to be a showcase, but a place of sanctification. It was not created to serve me, but to teach me how to serve. It is not a stage for my ego. It is a table of your love. Teach me to sanctify the routine, the sink, the bedroom, the backyard, the walk to work, the notes left on the fridge, the conversations in the car. May every corner become an altar where your peace rests and where tenderness relearns to walk with small but steady steps. Where laughter has ended, plant seeds of joy. Where the forecast is for a storm, spread a clearing. Where hope no longer knows the way, light a beacon. And if necessary, begin the new with the smallest, a sincere apology, a hug that doesn't require a response, a glass of water brought with love, a silence that is listening, not indifference. I present to you the fears I haven't confessed. I'm afraid to try and fail, afraid to be vulnerable and be scorned, afraid to give in and appear weak, afraid to forgive and become a hostage, afraid that whatever I do will be too little, too late. Blow away these fears with the wind of your truth, reminding me that perfection is not a requirement for love, but a fruit of your faithfulness within us. Guard my mind from the narratives that push me away. Nothing changes. It's not worth it. Every man for himself. Replace them with a new psalm. Grace is sufficient. Mercy is renewed. Goodness still flourishes. I do not deny old wounds. I do not gloss over recent offenses. I do not minimize pain that returns in waves. I bring everything to your light, asking that your justice and your compassion walk hand in hand in this house. Where confrontation is necessary, give me courage to speak the truth with gentleness. Where consolation is needed, give me wide arms and gentle words. Where silence is poison, give me a voice. Where speech is a hammer, give me a break. Clothe me with humility, to see my own sin without excuses, to ask for forgiveness without addenda, to welcome the repentance of others without hidden accounts. This removes from me the need to win arguments and, in turn, gives me a hunger for reconciliation. Look, Lord, at the pride I raise like a flag. It promises me security, but steals the chance for encounter. It tears from me the root that feeds resentment, tears down the fortresses I built to protect my pain and ended up using to imprison both. Teach me not to collect the other's flaws as trophies of reason. Teach me to remember successes, to cultivate the memory of good, to water with gratitude what, though small, still flourishes. Details of care, discreet efforts, small acts of loyalty in ordinary days. May I learn to thank before demanding, to acknowledge before criticizing, to wait before concluding that it is over. Be Lord of my intentions, my words, my body. Purify my gaze so that I may see the other as you see me, not as a threat, nor as an extension of my desires, but as a person created in your image, worthy of respect, care, and honor. Purify my language so that truth is not disguised as aggression, so that sincerity is not an excuse to hurt, so that justice is always tempered by mercy. Purify my hands so that they touch gently, offering shelter instead of withdrawal. Purify my steps so that I know how to approach when the tendency is to withdraw, and to retreat with respect when the temptation is to invade. Give us the rhythm of the dance of covenant, to approach and to give space, to speak and to listen, to lead and to yield, always to the music of your will. I entrust to you the story we've written so far, the pages that make me proud and the ones I'd rather tear out. I don't want to live denying what was. I want to live redeeming what is. If there are habits that need to die, let them die on your altar. If there are practices that need to be born, let them be born under your blessing. Give us the discipline to rehearse a new way of being together, setting times to talk without interruptions, turning off screens to connect hearts, walking side by side to air our souls, praying hand in hand to remember who we belong to. Teach us to propose clear agreements, to respect fair boundaries, to not turn differences into war, to not use fatigue as an excuse for carelessness. Protect us from comparisons that corrode, from idealizations that frustrate, from external pressures that suffocate. You who understand sighs before they become words, bend down to the moans I cannot translate. When memory brings back scenes that still throb, make your voice a counter-melody that calls me from the abyss to the shore. When anger pushes me to quick answers, extend your hand and hold my arm. When sadness threatens to paralyze, remind me that I do not walk alone. I ask you for the grace to begin again without skepticism, to believe without naivete, to persevere without violating myself. Show me the difference between enduring with faith and accepting injustices that dishonor you. Grant me wisdom to seek the right help, courage to take concrete steps, discernment to reject what contaminates. Seal, Lord, every intention with your presence. May the home once again be a place of rest. May the roof not weigh down like a threat, but protect like an embrace. May the bedrooms become refuges, not camps of exile. May the table regain its role of communion. Restore lightness to the mornings, serenity to the afternoons, peace to the nights. May your name be invoked without fear. May forgiveness be our daily bread. May joy not depend on the absence of problems, but on the certainty that you are the God who dwells with us. Make the impossible a path, the improbable a testimony, the little a banquet. May those who enter through this door feel the different air, respect, honor, kindness, truth, hope, and above all, keep my heart in you. Nothing fractures me more than trying to love without the sap of your love. Nothing tires me as much as fighting without your strength. Nothing saddens me more than trying to repair alone what only your hand restores. Therefore, anchored to the cross where love conquered the abyss, I ask you, stay. Stay when conversation gets stuck. Stay when the impulse is to slam the door. Stay when memory bites. Stay when temptation whispers shortcuts. Stay when everything within me wants to give up. Stay, and by staying transform. Where there is ash, blow embers. Where there is ice, light a hearth. Where there is ruin, build a foundation. Where there is fear, sing a song. I wait for you I wait, in you I rest. Take this part of my prayer as my first step in this valley, and teach me to cross it hand in hand with you, until your goodness becomes the ground that sustains me, and your faithfulness the horizon that guides me. Amen. Most high, living God, who breathed life into the first encounter of two hearts, I exalt you for the care with which you designed communion. Nothing in you is accidental. When you united two people, you imprinted upon them a calling that transcends sentiment and seasons. You made belonging a daily sacrament, a visible sign of an invisible love. I praise you because the plan that comes from your heart is beautiful and good, and because, even when I lose myself in the labyrinth of expectations, your design remains firm, patient, and persevering. In your wisdom, the bond is not a prison, but a path. It is not a showcase, but a workshop. It is not victimization, but a vocation. Therefore I bow down, worshipping you for the mystery of two becoming one, not through a fusion that nullifies, but through an alliance that matures, expands, and sanctifies. I bring to you, Lord, the covenant we made before you, so that it may be renewed from within. I do not wish to repeat promises like someone reciting an old, meaningless song. I place them on your altar, so that they may regain their breath, substance, and root. What was spoken with joy at the beginning, I ask you to make a real decision in ordinary days. Honor that does not depend on humor, patience that is not intimidated by haste, kindness that is not held hostage by reciprocity. If any part of our oath has become covered in dust, dust it off. If any expression has been mistreated by routine, give it a shine of sincerity. If any part of the commitment has fallen into disrepute due to weariness, rebuild it with materials more resistant than emotion, with your truth, with your spirit, with your love poured into hearts. I rededicate this story to you. I declare before your throne that our yes does not belong to the whim of the moment, but to your glory. I want our coexistence to reflect the gospel that has reached us, voluntary surrender, kindness that surprises, forgiveness that does not negotiate, joy that does not depend on the absence of conflict. Teach me to care for unity, as one watches over a flame on a windy night, with attention, constancy, and humility. If the flame wavers, may I not blow impatiently to the point of extinguishing it, but rather protect it with my hands, recognizing that the heat does not come from me, but from your fire that dwells within us. Place sentinels at the door of our hearts, so that sarcasm does not invade, so that comparison does not sabotage, so that indifference does not steal what your cross cost. I wish to consecrate to you the spaces that will witness our rebuilding. The wall clock that dictates routines, the balcony where the afternoon air can become the setting for sincere conversations, the corner of the sofa where shoulders slowly lean together, the kitchen floor where tired feet can still dance a discreet gratitude. Sanctify the small tasks, because in them love learns to find its own hands, rhythm, and voice. May washing a dish, folding a load of laundry, preparing a snack, and taking care of the bills become simple liturgies that remind us of who we are to each other. Not overseers, but caretakers, not competitors, but companions, not adversaries, but allies. Wherever there are memories of friction, rename the place with gestures of tenderness. Where there are dark corners, shine a light with initiatives of listening. I ask you for a new grammar for the encounter. May words abandon their sentence-like tone and learn to clothe themselves in mercy. May questions not be interrogations, but bridges. May silences not be punishments, but spaces that prepare understanding. Give us verbs that sustain the home, to welcome, to serve, to encourage, to thank, to intercede, to correct gently, to affirm without flattering, to confront without humiliating. And give us adverbs that temper our speech with respect, with gentleness, with truth, with hope, with prudence. Where my tongue has grown accustomed to shooting arrows, place a handkerchief in my hands. Where my speech has learned the shortcuts of irony, teach me the path of humble honesty. In your plan for unity, you said that two are better than one. I want to reclaim the sense of partnership that hurried days have tried to steal. Guide our steps so that we don't each pull our own destiny, tearing the common fabric, but under your guidance, we set shared goals, schedules that protect us, projects that celebrate the best in us, rest that doesn't live on crumbs, discipline that isn't a yoke but rather ordered freedom. Free us from the idolatry of performance, which turns the home into a results factory and forgets that the individual is worth more than the output. Give us careful consideration when planning. Time to laugh, time to pray, time to adjust expectations, time to be friends and not just task managers. I consecrate to you the intimacy that has been wounded. I do not wish to reduce it to a duty disconnected from the heart, nor transform it into a bargaining chip, nor subject it to the politics of merit. Purify desires, heal memories, calm anxieties, correct myths, reorient rhythms. May affection be reborn from care and respect guide touch. May trust relearn to inhabit the body without fear. If there are blockages, it gives us the courage to name them. If there are faults, wash them away. If there are mismatched expectations, align them. If there are wounds, treat them with the oil of your spirit. May the bed once again be a place of dignity, honor, and rest, a sign of a unity that springs from your love and is nourished by our commitment. I also pray for our treatment of time and money, because I know that these two masters, when not submitted to you, become tyrants that wear down our coexistence. Grant us sobriety to plan our spending, generosity to share, prudence to say no, and vision to invest in what nourishes who we are, not just what we have. Teach us to value experiences that build bonds, a meal prepared with affection, a walk under the late afternoon sky, a visit that brings comfort, a service provided together to those in need. Also, reserve periods of silence and contemplation in your schedule, because hurried hearts harden, and a soulless home, even though crammed with things, remains empty. May your spirit, comforter and teacher, be the architect of this new phase. Breathe wisdom into strategic conversations, discernment about choices involving boundaries, and courage to seek help when needed. If you recommend wise guidance, open doors to Christ-filled counselors who heal wounds with truth and love. If you ask us to take steps toward reconciliation with family or friends who negatively influence us, grant us the strength to adjust boundaries. If you move us to revive forgotten practices such as reading your word together or giving thanks at the end of the day, grant us the constancy to persevere even when our will fails. I want, Lord, for this home to faithfully represent you. May those who cross our threshold perceive even in silence a distinct aroma. Hospitality that welcomes without judgment, sober joy that is independent of spectacle, peace that is not the absence of noise, but the presence of meaning. Use us to help those who mourn, to share bread with those who hunger, to gently counsel those who have lost their way. Make us a stained glass window where your light refracts in varied colors, patience in crises, generosity in needs, gratitude in achievements, serenity in losses. Do not allow our pain to make us self-centered. May you, as you heal our story, also extend your hand through us to other stories. In the heart of this purpose, I place my hidden habits before you. If entertainment distracts from what is essential, realign my heart. If networks and screens steal the gaze that should be on others, restore my focus. If work and worry take up space that belongs to listening, re-educate my affections. Teach me to honor with full presence, with generous attention, with genuine availability. And when I fail, and I will, give me the readiness to apologize and the courage to try again without cynicism. May consistency, in time, reveal what words cannot yet prove. Bathe the house with praise. I want to place songs in the air that exalt you, words that magnify you, memories of your works that reorient our mood. May there be blessing on the door, on the window, in the bedroom, in the improvised office, on the study table, on the favorite chair, not as superstition, but as a living reminder that everything is yours, everything comes from you, and everything returns to you. May the peace of Christ arbitrate our decisions. May your word dwell richly within us. May everything we do, in word or deed, be done in your name, with gratitude. Finally, I commit to you to treat others as a legacy, not a project. I do not wish to mold them according to the force of my impatience. I wish to care for what you have entrusted to my arms with reverence, knowing that each person is a mystery belonging to you. Give me eyes to see the work you have already begun, not just what is missing. Give me a mouth to bless the little, not just point out the gaps. Give me hands to sustain the process, not just accelerate results. And when night suggests giving up, remind me of the dawn that always arrives. In your name I consecrate this bond anew. May it be a banner of your grace, a mirror of your love, and a school of your holiness. Take our story, seal it with your spirit, and make us walk in the excellent pattern you yourself envisioned from the beginning. Amen. Father of kindness, who probes the unspoken and collects the tear no one sees, I bring you the secret book I have been silently nurturing. Pages of listed offenses, numbers that add up to sorrows, calculations of losses, notes of broken promises. This heavy notebook has been my hard pillow and my cold armor. Today, in the shadow of the cross, I ask you for fire from heaven to burn the file that keeps me imprisoned. I do not deny the pain, nor undo the seriousness of what hurt. I simply recognize that if I treasure the debt, my heart rots in interest of bitterness. Teach me the mercy that does not relativize, but liberates, the compassion that does not conceal, but surrenders to your judgment, the memory that does not become a knife, but raw material for your healing. Under your authority, I renounce the bitter pleasure of being right and beg for the clean joy of breathing again without rancor. Before you, I make a choice my emotions still can't grasp: to forgive. I speak the name of what hurt. I outline what struck me, and yet I let go of the charge. It's not because the offender deserved it. It's because I've been reached by forgiveness greater than I can comprehend. When I contemplate your Son stretched out on the cross, I see the sentence that condemned me annulled by love. Then, in memory of that love, I decree freedom for what imprisoned me. I entrust justice to you. I give you explanations that may never come. I submit to you the desire for revenge that disturbs me in the intervals of the day. When my mind rewinds scenes and my skin remembers as if it were yesterday, remind me that this decision was made before your throne, and that your hand is steadier than my wavering. I beg you, Lord, for renewed eyes to see those around me without the cracked lens of resentment. May I rediscover the person behind the mistake, the story behind the harsh response, the weariness behind the lack of action. Give me the vocation of intercessor, and not the posture of accuser. May my mouth, tired of enumerating faults, learn to pronounce blessings. Teach me to pray for emotional health, for clarity of mind, for release from internal prisons, for hope to be rekindled. If there are areas where another's heart also needs light, be you the sun that rises without me needing to poke wounds with impatient fingers. Where I only saw an adversary, reveal a wounded companion in need of the same care as I do, and may my prayer become a shelter, not a spotlight of exposure. Grant me, Father, humility for the reverse journey, asking for forgiveness. where I have hurt hastily, where I have used silence as punishment, where I have treated irony as intelligence, where I have withheld support out of pride. Grant me the integrity to name the evil without making excuses. May the word sorry not be accompanied by justifying commas. May the word I was wrong not be accompanied by but. Open my ears so I can bear to hear another's narrative about the pain I have caused, and guard me from retaliating with old accounts. If I need to make amends, teach me concrete reparation. If I need only acknowledgement, give me a contrite heart that does not dispute versions. And when weariness descends like a mist, rekindle the commitment to be an apprentice of love, not an expert in verbal victories. Deliver me, Lord, from the subtle poisons that reopen wounds, sarcasm that seems like a joke but is actually acidic, looks that diminish, gestures calculated to accuse without words. Close the way for gossip that disguises itself as venting, block sources that fuel fantasies of another future outside your path, deactivate triggers that make me react with automatic harshness. I ask you for a new repertoire of thought. Instead of draft accusations, let memories of grace emerge. Instead of argument scripts, let plans of care emerge. May the Holy Spirit re-educate my reflexes, teaching my nerves not to live in a state of constant alert, teaching my tongue to wait for your peace before rushing to respond. I look at wounds that are not superficial, betrayals of trust, promises repeatedly broken, words that disfigured dignity. For these craters, I pray for a miracle. Forgiving does not mean allowing abuse or calling evil good. Therefore, I ask you at the same time for compassion and wisdom. If it is necessary to build healthy boundaries, illuminate the path. If therapy is needed, guide us to wise hands. If there are addictions or bonds that enslave, send robust liberation sustained by discipline and community. Teach me the difference between grace and connivance, between peace and passivity, between reconciliation and fantasy. And while prudent steps are being taken, protect my heart from the temptation to interrupt the process with desperate shortcuts. Touch, true physician, the body that somatizes what the soul carries. Calm the tachycardia of memories, disarm sleepless nights. Regulate the breathing that shortens when the conversation gets tense. Pacify the stomach that contracts when I await the next conflict. Pour the oil of rest on tense muscles. Let your peace descend like warm water on fatigue. Regulate my rhythms so that the day has margins and the night restores breath. May the house hear other music. Praise in place of the noise of complaints, gratitude where complaints once echoed, words of life filling the space that once was filled with fear. Transform triggers into reminders of prayer. When the old script threatens to begin, may the first act be to invoke your name. I also want to plant gestures that confirm the decision I made. If I've forgiven, I don't want to use the past as currency to buy future advantage. If I've forgiven, I don't want to drag the conversation back to old courts whenever I feel insecure. If I've forgiven, I want to find new language to talk about boundaries, without resorting to offenses as ammunition. Give me the creativity to replace habits of hostility with habits of kindness, leaving a note of encouragement, making a coffee without fuss, offering help before being asked, thanking someone for what I've ignored for so long. May these small signs create a path where trust, over time, can return. And when I slip, may my readiness to acknowledge my fall be greater than the shame I try to hide. Father, strengthen today's choice with foundations that withstand storms. Surround me with your word, so that my mind does not drift. Remind me of the parable of the forgiven servant, so that I do not become a relentless collector after being absolved of an unpayable debt. Place in my horizon the face of Christ, who prays for those who hurt him, who intercedes for those who deny him, who offers bread to those who run away. From this horizon, realign my expectations. Neither foolish naivete that ignores dangers, nor chronic distrust that stifles any beginning. This gives me the courage to walk step by step, allowing time to prove the transformation, while love paves the way with faithful acts. Finally, I ask that you make forgiveness a fragrance that lingers in every room. May the atmosphere tell another story when you open the door, not that of a house that sweeps dirt under the rug, but that of a home that has learned to bring dirt into the light so that it can be cleansed. May children, if any, breathe an air where reconciliation is possible, where mistakes don't define destiny, where asking for forgiveness doesn't become humiliation, but rather nobility. May friends, if they visit us, perceive serenity without farce, truth without harshness, joy without spectacle. And may I, when I look in the mirror, recognize a heart in process, sustained by grace, willing to try again, guarded by the hand that never fails. Receive this prayer as an offering from one who wants to be free to love. Seal it with your spirit and preserve in me the memory of the decision made in your presence until life slowly turns it into custom, and custom into culture, and culture into rest. Amen. Lord of the heights and of small steps, I receive from your hands the towel of service and the pitcher of humility. I ask you for a heart trained to descend when the impulse wants to ascend, to yield when pride calls me to conquer, to care when self-protection demands distance. Teach me the dignity of simple gestures, the chair pulled out to welcome a tired conversation, the water offered when my throat is scratchy, the whole ear when the story seems too repeated. May my readiness not be a theatre waiting for applause, but a hidden liturgy that only you see. Disarm the logic of exchange and bargaining and install within me the economy of grace, giving because I have received, offering because I have been reached, without the secret accounting that turns affection into currency. May meekness become my preferred path, and firmness, when necessary, be tempered by respect. Take my automatic reactions and retrain them with the patience of your spirit, so that instead of shattering them, my responses leave trails of peace. Place guards at the borders of my soul, so that irritation does not cross the door disguised as frankness, so that impatience does not don the uniform of objectivity. Give me a voice to name what hurts without tearing, and silence that heals when words would inflame even more. Prepare my table as a place of reconciliation, where broken bread recalls compassion, and a shared glass reteaches trust. May the cutlery not scratch trenches. May the chairs not position themselves as barricades. May the table be a plane of peace. On the sofa, where distance has so often rested, kindle embers of gentleness. In the hallway, where hurried footsteps once meant escape, inaugurate the rhythm of closeness. In the bedroom, shelter us from the noise outside and also from the noise within, so that rest is not merely closing our eyes, but opening our hearts to your care. Teach me to fight with the weapons that come from heaven. I do not want to confuse people with enemies, nor treat the beloved face as a target of my frustration. Clothe my mind with truth, so that catastrophic fantasies do not rule my days. Protect my chest with living justice, so that intentions are guarded from bitterness and cynicism. Shod my feet with the good news that reconciles, so that my footprints within the home leave not marks of tension, but trails of serenity. Place in my hands the shield of faith, so that darts of distrust and malicious insinuations are extinguished before they find a home. Crown me with the hope of salvation, so that thoughts of giving up do not have the last word. And give me your word as a blade that separates truth from lies, pride from zeal, fear from prudence. May the promises become ammunition of courage in the Psalms, language for the hours when my words run out. Raise your banner over this house and surround us with your peace. Bless the bed with modesty and tenderness, so that the body may once again be a language of care, not an arena of demands. Bless the entrance and exit, so that they do not bring in what contaminates, nor take out what should be kept secret in the covenant. Bless the screens and schedules so that no artificial glow dims the brightness of the eyes. Bless work so that it does not take the place of love. Bless leisure so that it does not become an escape. Bless friends so that they may be counselors of peace, not supporters of conflict. If there are invisible ties trying to drag this story into labyrinths of deception, cut them with your hand. If there are influences that sound sweet but are poison, grant the discernment to say no firmly. Plant sentries at the windows of the imagination so that fantasies do not take up residence as authorized guests. Where there are breaches, seal them. Where there are wide open doors, teach us to close them and keep keys in the light of your presence. I ask you for tireless hands for good. Make caring a routine, not an exception. May the schedule, so often tyrannical, become an ally. Time to talk, to pray, to laugh, to walk, to be silent together. Teach us rituals that remind us of who we are. A thank you at the end of the day, a verse that finds us at breakfast, a hug that doesn't compromise with the rush before leaving. Yes, small ceremonies mend larger tears. This gives us the constancy to hold the thread when emotions fluctuate, and if one day the custom becomes boredom, renew our motivation with the freshness of your spirit, which knows how to make each morning ancient and each repeated gesture new in life. I want to bless those who walk with me. Where there is unspoken fear, pour out your comfort that does not humiliate. Where there is pressure for results, offer rest that is not indolence, but a fair perception of limits. Where there is shame for one's own failures, embrace with dignity so that confession becomes possible. Where there is a desire to be seen and heard, open in me attentive eyes and gentle ears. May my mouth be a source of encouragement. May it name talents, recognize efforts, celebrate achievements without envy, extend a hand when stumbles without speech. May I learn to intercede for others with the same zeal with which I defend my own causes. And may, in blessing, I be healed of comparisons, freed from suspicion, and trained in gratitude. This gives us wisdom for the limits that preserve life. Neither harshness that builds walls too high, nor laxity that leaves doors wide open to the wind of chaos. Teach us to combine rules with affection, combined with tenderness, responsibility with joy. In finances, discipline that doesn't suffocate, generosity that doesn't flaunt. In schedules, order that creates space for encounter. In intimacy, respect that doesn't use the other as medicine. In conversations, frankness with gentleness. Protect us from advice that advocates easy shortcuts but charges dearly later. Give us mentors who love your truth and know how to heal wounds without sensationalism. Lead us, if it is your will, to professional hands that help us through the journey and grant us the humility to receive care without shame. I also ask you for the grace to write the future with a pencil, not a chisel. I accept that the path may have slopes and curves, that no miracle dispenses with processes, that haste is the enemy of depth. Help me not to make promises I cannot keep, but to make choices that time will confirm. When I long for a movie ending, offer me the more discreet beauty of faithful daily life, agreements honored, forgiveness practiced, boundaries respected, smiles rediscovered, hands that seek each other in prayer. And if you offer me unexpected joy, a look that shines again, a conversation that doesn't stall, a laugh that springs forth spontaneously, teach me to celebrate without fear, without the bitter voice that asks how long it will last. May praise quickly occupy the space where skepticism once resided. Sustain us in the gray days. When goodwill fails, lend us your perseverance. When communication stalls, give us language borrowed from the Psalms. When the temptation to give up whistles at the window, close it with the remembrance of your commitment to us. Reign over the seasons of the soul, springs of hope, summers of intensity, autumns of revision, winters of apparent stillness. In each season, grant us discernment of what to plant, what to prune, what to water, what to wait for. And above all, keep alive the certainty that you are the gardener, and that there is no soil so compacted that you cannot aerate with your shovel of mercy. I want to place the name of this covenant before you as one lays down their most precious cause before a king. Take it to your lips and pronounce life. Forbid in our home the circulation of cursed words, never nor always. It's over, too late, and replace them with words of your kingdom. Still, again, I begin again, enough, grace. It gives us the gift of remembering the good, of documenting signs, of writing journals of gratitude that serve as an antidote when selective memory wants to display only what went wrong. And make our testimony, in due time, a balm for other homes, not a triumphalist fable, but an honest narrative of a God who did not give up when we almost did. Finally, I consecrate to you what I cannot control. If you open doors quickly, grant us the humility to walk through them without arrogance. If you lead us down long paths, grant us the strength to not stop at the shoulder. If you change plans, grant us the gentleness to adjust routes. In all cases, remain. Be the light in our hallway, the key to our door, the scent on our sheets, the breeze in our mornings, the rest in our late afternoons. Be the foundation that does not crack, the beam that does not give way, the roof that does not leak. And as you teach us to rebuild with patience, remind us that the goal is not to return to what was, but to advance toward what you plan, something more solid, simpler, truer, more like you. Receive this final delivery as a seal on the days to come. Place your hand upon our heads and send us back to the same rooms with new eyes, to the same tasks with new motivation, to the same conversations with a new spirit. May the answer, when the world asks how it was possible, not glorify us, but proclaim your faithfulness. May every bricklade tell a verse of your care. May every hidden electrical wire carry silent prayers. May every open window remind us that the wind blows where it wills, and it blew here. Amen.